First up, though, Cameroon's attempt at national dialogue aimed at ending 3 years of conflict around an Anglophone crisis has faltered further. On Wednesday, delegates reportedly almost came to blows at the government-organised talks in Yaoundé. Most opposition figures have stayed away or walked out after having dismissed the 5-day meeting as being a farce. Thousands of people have been killed and 500,000 forced from their homes since the unrest first erupted in 2016 over calls for more English to be used in schools. That later escalated into a brutal armed secessionist conflict between armed militia and soldiers. Max Bourne tells us more about why things disintegrated between delegates on Wednesday.
Prior to the dialogue commencing, right after it was announced, many were under the impression that this was not a genuine attempt to actually resolve the Anglophone crisis, and that, in fact, it would be a monologue within the ruling elite, and in particular, President Paul Biya's CPDM party. And what happened today demonstrates that, unfortunately, that fear appears to be coming true. Many walked out because they claimed that only CPDM members were being given the opportunity to speak, and also the commission that is focusing on decentralization has claimed that the form of state is not up for discussion, which in effect means that the government is keeping their ground on claiming that under no circumstances will there be a return to federation. So unfortunately, many feel that the fears that have led to some not participating in the dialogue are coming true, and that it's not a genuine attempt to resolve the crisis.
So the talks never started off on a particularly good foot, but despite that, despite those who turned their backs on the dialogue, do you think that there is still much of a chance of it achieving anything much at all?
Unfortunately, no, because prior to the talks, many said, well, we are not going to participate because this is not genuine. And those who did participate did so believing that there might have been some event that has led the government to change its overall position. And the events of the past few days have made clear that under no circumstances is the government going to change its position. And furthermore, the secessionists, who are the ones fighting for an independent state by the name of Ambazonia, are not participating in the dialogue. So, no, unfortunately, there's really no way that this could do anything to resolve the crisis under the current circumstances.
Now, both sides, both the secessionist militia and the soldiers, state soldiers, have been accused of committing horrible atrocities since the conflict escalated into violence in about 2017. But do you think that the onus to resolve this lies any more with one side than the other?
Well, it's imperative to go back to 2017 when this crisis started. And the fact is that this crisis started when the government violently clamped down on peaceful demonstrators. So therefore, it is clear that the onus is on the government. While the secessionists have committed many human rights abuses themselves and have also refused to enter into some forms of dialogue with the government, particularly informal dialogue or track to diplomacy, it is clear that the onus is on the government, both due to the decades of marginalization, the denial of burning down villages and other human rights abuses, and the basic fact that it is the actions of this government, the government of Paul Biya, that has led to this crisis breaking out. So unless the government changes its position, which they have not yet, unfortunately, there's no way that this crisis can be resolved.
Max Bourne there speaking to me a little earlier on.